What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the September Arizona fishing report. Been a lot of changes going on with the bite lately and a lot more to come, so make sure you guys stick around and watch the entire video as I cover the different lakes around the valley and around the state of Arizona. Before we go any further, I want to let you guys know that this video is brought to you by Hatch Toyota in Show Low, Arizona. If you're in the market for any Toyota, please give them a shot. It's worth the trip up to Show Low. They're great people. They're going to beat anyone's prices. They've got a great amount of inventory, and I love dealing with those guys. I've been a customer for the past 10, 12 years. And then again, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you like the content, please subscribe. Let me know what you want to see more of as we roll into the fall. So to the fishing here. It's been a decent month of fishing. August was decent. You know, after my last regular season tournament back east, the first week of August, I've fished basically the last 3 weeks here in Arizona. Had some good days, had a couple tough days too. It's been, and that's normal. That's, you know, this time of year, it's more up and down. There, you know, the good days that we had, they didn't come easily. You know, like it's been one of those things where you work hard, you fish all day, and then you look back on it and said, oh man, you know, we had a decent amount of fish and we caught a couple good ones, but it wasn't like, hey, you launch the boat and just start whacking them right away. We've had to work for it each day. I spent a couple days at Lake Pleasant, one day up at Roosevelt, several days at Saguaro, and then I've been talking to some buddies that have been on the other lakes as well. Actually also fished Apache. I was there for a day too. So I've kind of covered a lot of central Arizona, and it's been decent, but not great. What's happening, and I talked about it a lot in the last report, I'm not going to go super deep into it again, but the monsoons, they really shake things up. When those monsoons start rolling in, even though we're not getting blasted in the valley, you know, I live in Queen Creek, and we've had like 3 rainstorms hit our house all summer long, but the lakes get it a lot more. I mean, a lot of times those storms come in and they blast Lake Roosevelt, they blast Pleasant, but they never get to us. But it'll still mess up the fishing. You know, if you get a big monsoon the night before, the next day is going to be tough. And that's been happening a lot. You know, I've definitely found that pretty much on each of the lakes I've fished, power fishing has not been the most effective way to catch them. And hey, that's Arizona a lot of times in general, but we've fallen back to the drop shot even more than normal lately. Had some really good days drop shotting a flatworm. Believe it or not, a flatworm for largemouth. Yeah, especially at Lake Pleasant. Had a couple really good days doing that. But going to the drop shot has been a key on almost any of these lakes that I've been fishing. We have been able to catch a couple of fish cranking, have not had much topwater action, and that's been really surprising to me, but it just hasn't happened. I'm really hoping that picks up as we roll into, you know, September. I always try to tell myself, as soon as that temp starts to drop just a little bit, you're going to see some improvement in the bite. The water temps on pretty much most of our lakes are still in the mid 80s. You know, we had a cooler long weekend a couple weekends ago, and it dropped the temps a little bit, but they kind of came right back up. We're here in the first week of September, and the next week's going to be really hot, like 110 in Phoenix most of the week. So we're probably not going to see a drastic change right away, but I'm hoping by at least, you know, towards the last third of the month or so, we start to see the fish really start to move shallow and push shallow, see some more bait pushing shallow, and really have some options on how we're going to fish. If it's early September, you're still going to have a hard time beating the deeper fishing, whether that's drop shotting on walls, deeper structure, depending on the lake you're fishing. You can catch them on a jig, you can catch them on a Texas rig or a free rig. I've even been doing a little hover strolling. I'll cover that in a video coming up too. You know, been catching some fish doing that, but you know, getting too aggressive with the reaction stuff, I just don't think we're there yet, unless unless you start getting some cooler temps, which we will later in the month. We'll be there. But if you're going fishing right now, I mean, hey, if you watch this report and it's the first week of September, kind of stick to with what you've been doing. The fish seem to be a little spread out, like not super grouped up, which is kind of you know, Lake Pleasant, we found some schools of fish, but like Saguaro, Apache, Roosevelt, not great schools. A lot of fish spread out. As the fall goes on, they're going to group up more and more and more. But as always, you know, I want to have you guys kind of ready for when the fish do start to come shallow, and a couple of my favorite baits. So, I mean, really, the one that I've really fallen in love with a lot over the last few years is this right here. It's a Berkley Chopo. That's the Chopo 90. It is a little fish catching dude right there. It is a fish catching son of a gun. They make it in a couple bigger sizes, but that 90, as we're in the fall, a lot of the bait's pretty small. It just seems to get more bites. So I'm throwing it on braid. That's 30-pound test, Berkley braid, a 7-foot medium action rod, and you can just throw this thing all day. It's still going to get the big ones, but it's a way to cover a lot of water. And while we're early in this topwater season, I want to have a bait that I can cover a lot of water with, because there aren't a million fish up shallow yet. There are some fish up shallow, and there will be more and more, but like, I'm going to go to Roosevelt tomorrow and we're going to try it. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but we're going to try it, and I want to be able to cover a ton of water. The way you can just cast this thing and reel it straight back to the boat without having to work it slow, even, you know, like a popper or something like that, it's a great way to catch fish. But if you don't really kind of know where the fish are at, you're getting, you know, for every one cast with a popper, you could probably make 3 casts with a Chopo. You're covering 3 times as much water. You know, again, we're searching. We're looking for the first fish that are pulling up shallow. We don't have time to fish slow. We're searching, and this is a great way to do it. Doesn't matter what lake you're on, whether it's Bartlett, Pleasant, Roosevelt, any of those lakes. You get the right day at Saguaro or Canyon or Apache, you can get topwater action, but you know, again, that it's a little more few and far between. But if you're on Pleasant, Bartlett, or Roosevelt, those are the lakes that I really anticipate popping off with good topwater action first. Now, there are some days where you have high pressure, they're not eating, you know, you're missing the fish on the Chopo. This right here is a soft jerk bait by Berkley. It's a power shad. And this thing right here, it really, or power jerk shad, I should say. You can catch a lot of fish that are a little bit more stubborn, maybe just slapping at the Chopo or the buzzbait. This is a good way to come in. And for me, I do a fair amount of guiding. And if I've got, you know, clients that aren't comfortable throwing a bait caster in the thick stuff, this is a great option too. Is this power jerk shad, either like an albino white color, or this is just a little bit more of a natural smoke shad color. I throw it on a 4/0 extra wide gap hook, and you can throw it on a bait caster with 12 or 15 pound line. It's just so easy to throw it on a spinning rod. I've got it on like a Berkley X5 braided leader with a 10-pound fluorocarbon, X5 mainline with a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. Excuse me if I'm getting stuff confused. It's 100+ degrees in the garage right now, and my brain's not working right. So soft jerk bait's a great way to follow up or just give them a different look when they're being stubborn on the regular top waters. But, you know, I wish I had kind of more to talk about, but I don't want to bore you guys on, you know, a bunch of unnecessary stuff. Really, you know, and not to get too specific on each lake. If you guys are out this time of year, I'd say early September, really lean deep more, but be ready to check shallow the further we get along. And I'm hoping by October it's just kind of wide open on both sides. You're going to have options here in Arizona. You know, we don't get like a big turnover on our lakes that, you know, you're going to have options to fish shallow or deep as we go through the whole fall. But we're all begging for it to get cooler. We're begging for it to get cooler here, and it's going to happen. You know, it hasn't really happened yet. So again, I don't anticipate anything major until we get to the end of the month, but I'm hopeful we start getting some nights that are down in the 70s consistently, daytime highs below 100, and I guarantee if that happens, you'll see some movements. But if you are going to try to go shallow and be on the front edge of that, which I like to do, I like to, you know, sometimes try to get out ahead of it and be one of the first guys trying to get onto the new seasonal pattern, because you're going to have fresh fish and you're going to have them to yourself. These summertime spots that have been good all summer, they're getting beat to a pulp, right? These fish are super, super pressured. There's a lot of places on these lakes where you know the fish are there, but they're getting harder and harder to catch as the summer goes on. The ones that move shallow, you're going to be the only guy up there catching them. So it's worth a shot. Don't go live or die by it. If it's not working after an hour or two, go back out deep. But give it a shot next time you're on the water. I'm excited for that to pick back up. But overall, you know, I would give the fishing this past month, like honestly, we'd be back to like a C+. And I'm expecting September to be the same too. It's not like it's going to absolutely light up on fire, but hopefully it'll improve. Hopefully it'll improve as we get into October. This is a transitional month. countrywide, it's one of the tougher months to fish. I don't mind it. It's just a little bit more of a challenge. It's not super tough like January or anything like that, but it's going to be probably better in October than what we're dealing with as we roll into September. And again, as far as lakes, I wouldn't really say stay off any of the lakes. They've all been fair. They're all good. They're all going to be, they've got their challenges, but, Saguaro Canyon, Apache, they're okay. Roosevelt's tough. Pleasant has been hit or miss, and Bartlett's been tough. So, that's been my experience, what I've been hearing about. But, yeah, it's you can still go out and catch some fish, and I hope you guys all do. Good luck if you guys get out, and we will chat with you here really soon. Thank you.